Welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman. It's, can you believe, February 2nd, 2011 here in New Orleans, and we're going through one of the worst storms. We're, of course, down here, we got the minor end of this massive storm going across the mid part of our country, all the way to the New England, with huge amounts of snow. And all we've got to say about it, we had some rain, but the temperatures have dropped tremendously. In February, we're always starting to look to start warming up a little bit, because that's usually the beginning of Mardi Gras, which is coming at the end of the month. So this is really a big change for us, because we started having a few nice days last week, and now we're back plummeting in temperatures. But other than that, we'll make it through. We're always sturdy. Anyway, as usual, we are here today. We don't have a live studio musician, unfortunately. As you know, we always out there looking. So we do have someone from the archive that we do, and also, but we do, of course, have a new restaurant for you, something from the FRERET Revitalization Zone. Hopefully you have been following many of the restaurants we presented on here and have tried and sampled some of them. But meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a listen. The young man who was on our show, I don't know how many years after Katrina, but maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. His name was John Earl. He's going to do 3 songs. Let's see what he's going to do for the first one. He's got a little bit of he's got a dynamic voice, so sometimes he doesn't have as much control. So bear with him if it's a little bit too much vibrato. But other than that, he's a talented artist. So let's go ahead and hear from John Earl.
Baby, I don't care what you say, just make it beautiful. 'Cause the words that you meant won't set me free. It's the gleam in your eyes and the curl of your lips that lets me know that words are more than simple sounds. Baby, I don't care what you think, just make it beautiful. 'Cause I never understood the things you mean. It's the way you collide with the things that made me hide, that lets me know that time will one day make us proud. But a dark cloud is rising in your mind. You think that you have gotta find words to make me better, the promise of a cure. And that's not why I need you in my life. Baby, I don't care what you do, just make it beautiful. 'Cause the ways that you inspire are what I'll be. And in the middle of the night, when I'm closing every eye, that's when everything becomes so clear to me. But a dark cloud is rising in your mind. You think that you have gotta find words to make me better, the promise of a cure. And that's not why I need you in my life. Baby, I don't care what you say, just make it beautiful. Baby, I don't care what you think, just make it beautiful. Baby, I don't care what you do, just make it beautiful. And stay by me. The dark cloud has passed us by. Not a shred of doubt is in my mind. You found what made me better, every single cure, the last thing that would ever cross my mind. It was miss you.
Well, that was John Earl. As I mentioned, his voice gets a little strong, but very melodic. And so part he writes all his music. So we haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully, he's still here in the city. He was living here for X number of years after Katrina. Anyway, he'll come back to you for 2 more songs before the end of the show. But let's go ahead and get into the old meat and potatoes, even though we don't have either one of those on our show today. We're pleased, as I mentioned, we are doing another restaurant or cafe from the revitalization of the FRERET Street corridor. As we know, post-Katrina, Magazine Street became the restaurant row all the way uptown from downtown to supplement the French Quarter and the other areas that really hadn't come back. Now that's almost totally filled with restaurants. It's hard to find an open space other than restaurants. So FRERET, as part of the neighborhood development program, was the first neighborhood to actually take advantage of a marketplace, and in conjunction with that, start using a what they call a Main Street grant to refurbish at least the facades of the buildings in that corridor, and also put out some lucrative incentives to vendors to come and populate it, so repopulate. So things that had been vacant since maybe even as late as the 60s or 70s are now showing up. In fact, besides today's restaurant, we know of at least 3 more that are coming down the pipe very soon, some by a very well-known chef who's been on our show many times. So always, if you don't think about it, take a drive down FRERET Street. Today is a small cafe. It started off as not necessarily as a cafe, but it's evolved. And it's called Beaucoup Cafe and Juices. And we're pleased to have the owner, Dylan Williams. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Great.
it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. We always like to know if our guests are natives, because, we're very subjective and partial to our natives.
Well, I'm originally from Tampa, Florida, and I moved here 10 years ago.
So you came before the storm, then?
To get involved in the music industry, I moved up here to work in music business and to play music, and worked with the music industry for a few years, and eventually went into sales for a number of years, and then Katrina came, and after Katrina, I started thinking about opening up my own juice bar. Okay. I always thought New Orleans had a kind of a shortage of places to get good, healthy refreshments.
Fresh juices, that's definitely true.
Not just juices, but healthy refreshments and food.
Uh-huh.
So I thought about that, and eventually I did some traveling in Central and South America, learned a little bit about juices and where they come from, fruits that are from a climate where like the exotic fruits grow, like the mangoes, passion fruits, things like that. Right. So I took the ideas that I learned about down in those countries, and I brought them back here and opened up what was originally a snowball shop called Beaucoup Juice. Right. And since then it's grown into something more. But the idea was to bring the flavors of South and Central America to meet up with the flavors of New Orleans and our local fruits and produce, and to create a juice bar.
And that history, I don't know if our director shows some of the pictures on the wall. That history is kind of displayed on murals on the walls of the cafe. They have there's outside a great sign, great colors, very attractive. But as we go on inside, we're going to see that one whole wall is basically a geographical map that an artist has painted. And in that map, some of the highlighted areas of Central and South America that have produced some of the juices that you feature, some very unique to New Orleans, are listed. So it really, like I said, what you're saying is kind of further emphasized for those who don't see the show or don't get a chance to talk to you by just watching the walls of your cafe. There we go, typical showing the different continents, and on there some verbal, some text describing where some of the countries that some of the juices come. Now, you've been open how long? I know you said after Katrina, but how long after Katrina did you first open up as the Snowball Juice Place?
I opened in June of 1909, rather, and so it's been a little over a year and a half.
Okay.
We opened when FRERET Street was really just starting to get
revitalized.
In fact, one of the first. There was a little Latin restaurant called Cerritos, which is great,
Right.
down the street. And there was the hardware store,
Right.
the paint store, and
That's about it.
a couple other things. But there wasn't a whole lot going on, but we saw the potential, and we got in there. I had at the time a partner who had lived in Brazil for a little while.
Oh, okay.
He brought some influences in from there, and we opened right up in the summer of '09.
What's your exact address on FRERET, Dylan?
4713 FRERET Street.
And you can't miss it if you're going down FRERET from Napoleon, because it's on the lake side. But the whole building, right, which runs an extensive block, is painted blue on the upstairs, the court end, and then the individual retail shops are beneath. So it's really easy to see right away because it's one mass of blue on the top floor of the buildings. And there's some other, in fact, as you mentioned, Cerritos, which was on our show early on when they first opened. And right down from him, there's another one that was on, I think, last year, and that was we had FRERET Street Donuts and Po' Boys, the return of donuts. And for those who love donuts, I'm diabetic now, so I don't have those luxuries. But we really don't have any more donuts now. Donuts used to be a dime a dozen. Of course, they're not healthy anymore, but folks, in case you're interested, within about 3 weeks, there's a brand new donut shop called Blue Dot Donuts, and it's on Canal Street. And the irony of the name is so appropriate because it's being opened by some policemen, and so it's all done in blue. I think it's on the corner of Canal and Hennessy. So pass by and give them a shout if they're going to do designer donuts and all this other stuff. But anyway, as we say, we try and do something. When the donut shop added lunches and breakfasts, then we were able to bring them on because there were enough to diversity and variety to show you all and the folks. So we're one by one making our way through the new restaurants that crop up on FRERET, supplementing the other areas as we do. So we're pleased to have Dylan here today. And let's see, any other questions? Let's talk about right now your days that you're closed.
Right now, being that it's wintertime, we're seasonal up until now. I'm open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. As we move into springtime, we'll be open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. That starts.
Can we be a little more specific? Like, when is springtime to you?
Well,
so
to me, springtime is mid-March.
Mid-March.
I know that's early
on
spring.
the Ides of March, folks, he'll extend his hours, right? Hopefully.
That's right.
That's good. Now, the place, of course, is very small, as you've seen in the inside of the interior shots. I believe we said you can accommodate about 12 comfortably inside. Is that right?
Right now, we can sit comfortably 10 to 12 people.
Okay.
We're making some modifications to try to make it a little more cozy for some more people to fit in as well.
And one thing that's really interesting is that on his menu, now I don't know if he still does this, but he says he features curbside service. Is that a reality, or that was just a pie in the sky idea?
Good question, Bob. This is a reality. We've just acquired a commercial espresso coffee machine, so we're offering coffee and breakfast wraps and some of the things on our menu at curbside service: smoothies, coffees, juices.
Okay.
There's a phone number on our website, and also on the business card that you can get when you come to the shop, or if you look it up on the internet.
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and give them right now. Folks, right now you're seeing our phone numbers. Our director's kind enough, if anyone wants to call in and find out more about the Beaucoup Cafe and Juice Bar, don't hesitate, or anything about the show. But meanwhile, why don't we do this? People love to look on the website, so why don't you go ahead and give us that website address so that they can look and see if the menu's on there as well? Is that right or no?
The menu is up on the website. The website has all the contact info,
Good.
My phone number. Which
so what is that website address?
It's BeaucoutJuice.com.
And that's spelled BeaucoutJuice, one word, right?
Correct.
.com. Okay. Excellent. Now I'll have your phone numbers. And so explaining the curbside service, because very few places do that anymore. When I was growing up, that was a very common thing for restaurants to do. But you're actually saying someone can order something in advance and then just stay in their car and call you when they get
somebody
there?
can call the number on the website, order in advance, and somebody will come out in a funny little hat and serve
When
you
you're there.
food.
Okay, excellent. Well, I wish you luck with that. I'm hoping, of course, with the busy, sometimes the traffic gets a little hectic on FRERET Street. But anyway, I think it's a great idea, and because I think a lot more of the breakfast places would do better if they offered that. They kind of like the fast food kind of drive-in kind of concept. Anyway, let's go ahead and anything else you want to say about your cafe before we start taking a look at some of the pictures and showing the folks what you present?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few other things. Part of our business is also that we do a lot of festivals and private events. You'll see us at most of the New Orleans festivals, the Blues and Barbecue Fest, the FRERET Market. We'll be eventually trying to maybe get out to the Jazz and Heritage Festival as a vendor.
So right now at FRERET, are you work out of your shop, or you actually go where the main vendors are located?
I usually can be found at the shop, but on the weekends we have booths at festivals frequently, especially in the spring and summer.
And you're doing what there? Smoothies? Are you doing the whole gamut of everything?
Mainly with the festivals, we do wraps. We do food and snowballs. Snowballs is kind of our festival flagship product, where we do
I would think so.
New Orleans snowballs with fresh juice, so it's different. We don't use the high fructose corn syrup. We have a healthy snowballs.
Well, we can talk a little bit more about that when we talk about beverages, okay? Because we want to emphasize all the beverages, and because that's what really you started from. So we want to really get your roots defined when we get to that part. Anything else you wanted to say before we start looking at the pictures and describing those?
That's all.
You said you had a couple of things. Okay, great. All right, well, let's take a look at the first picture. And as we said, now he has expanded the menus, and he's going to be doing for specialties a soup. And I believe we have the first one. This is what, tomato basil?
Tomato basil soup.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your soup.
Tomato basil is a delicious common soup that you'll see. Ours is, what I think sets ours apart is that we use local ingredients. We use, when we can, Creole tomatoes bought from the farmers market here in New Orleans, Crescent City Farmers Market. We use fresh basil from the edible schoolyard at the Green School on Valence Street, which is only 2 blocks.
Right around the corner.
2 blocks from our shop. Some of it comes from my backyard, my basil garden. It froze up a few weeks back, but we do use fresh local ingredients. So whatever we can get our hands on that comes from right here in New Orleans.
How did you, because I know we have a very large, besides the typical farmers market in the French Quarter and the one in Magazine and up, but I know also the Holly Grove market is really thriving now. But how did you find out details about the Green Market? Because I was under the impression that was strictly for the children, the employees, and the parents of the school. So are they actually commercially selling some of the stuff now?
No. As far as I know, the Green School is not commercially selling anything.
Oh, okay.
We have established a relationship with the Green School where we donate our organic waste, compost, to the Green School.
It's a barter situation.
So whenever we cook juices, whenever we cook anything, we always save our organic waste, anything, vegetables, fruit, and we throw them in a compost bucket, which we take. And like I said, the Green School is only 2 blocks away, so we take and dump it. I
hope people have seen that. It's on Valence, huh?
Yeah, it's an amazing
1 block off of FRERET. And if you just go around the backyard and drive around the building, you'll see it's just amazing what they've developed there. So, and a lot of chefs I know have worked with them with regard to teaching the students how to, learn to cook some of these wonderful vegetable things that they're growing. So I'm glad to hear y'all have a relationship. I was just hoping if it was available to others, And
I definitely don't want to false advertise. It's not something that I don't know what they do with all of their veggies, but on occasion we'll go over and get some mint or some basil.
Sure.
And
folks, if any of you out there know more, please call us and let us know, because I know I would certainly be interested in because it's right in my neighborhood as well, so it's so close. So anything we can do to help promulgate that program, as well as bring the fresh stuff into your house.
Well, and not to interrupt, but Bob, there's a lot of community gardens opening all over the city, and it's really a great place to get these. But
once again, do they market their stuff to outside of their base of volunteers?
Some do, some don't. You just have to find out. The Holly Grove sells produce to restaurants, and to anybody that wants to buy their produce, you can go by the Holly Grove Market and pick up some great veggies and produce and herbs.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the other soups that you envision for your specialties, even though we don't have pictures. But let's go ahead and tell us some of the things you're thinking about to, obviously, some restaurants use that as a standard and may have an optional one. But anyway, it's in the rotation. But let's give them some ideas and maybe some other things you might be coming out with to tweak their interest.
Well, I've done quite a few different types of soups, and my idea moving forward with my shop on FRERET Street is to have a couple of different options of soups. I would have one vegetarian and one non-vegetarian soup. So some things that I've thought of. We have an African peanut stew that
wow,
we've done,
that sounds
which has
great.
a medley of vegetables.
Is that vegetarian only? Or
That's vegetarian.
Okay.
And we'd also.
What type of, tell us a little bit more about that. That's very intriguing. What type of stock and all you're using in that?
Well, a veggie stock, which we make in the shop.
In-house, good.
In-house
good.
veggie stock, and we'd use tomato-based soup.
Okay, so it's a tomato-based soup. Okay.
Yes, and it's kind of got a Caribbean flavor to it. We use a lot of carrots and onions and sweet potatoes.
Great.
And real fresh peanut butter.
Fantastic. Peanut butter is used in so many ways. Most people are so naive about peanut butter.
It sounds awkward to have that in the soup, but it really does.
For those who've tried it, somehow, whether it's on steak, burgers, there's so many ways you can use peanut butter. It's phenomenal.
So potato leek soups, we could do, we'll probably have an oyster artichoke bisque, crawfish, and crawfish and corned bisque. That's good. You're using local things,
but I'm glad to hear you being a little adventurous, because too many of the restaurants that do the same thing, like I say, tomato basil is in almost every cafe, and so after a while people get tired. So mixing it up, and there's so many other vegetables that you can do, purees and some of that. That'd be great. I know. I eat them all summer. I eat cold veg soups, and that's even more difficult to find.
Like a vichyssoise.
Yeah. Well, not only that. I mean, I've had cold cucumber soup. I've had carrots with ginger. So there's a lot of stuff you can do in that regard. Sweet potato vichyssoise is just phenomenal. Anyway, he's also added a salad. Now he's not going to be offering numerous types of salad, because these are ingredients that he uses in some of his sandwich fare. So let's take a look at the spinach salad. Let's take a look and tell us about what goes in your spinach salad.
We use local spinach, and it's a pretty basic spinach salad with a really great homemade dressing.
Okay, what's that? What kind of? Give us a little, without giving away all your secrets, but give us a little idea what the dressing is like.
Well, a white balsamic vinaigrette.
Okay,
it's
that's
very robust. It's
wonderful
got
key there. Go ahead.
A real garlicky taste to it, and a little goes a long way. I think it works really well with this salad. We use only, every ingredient is fresh, and we have a lot of local herbs, and the spinach is local as well. So it's pretty basic, but the dressing really finishes it off.
Right, and I think those little white days, is that feta cheese in there?
That's feta.
Oh, okay, so great. You get a little cheese besides the crunch, and it sounds like a great dressing. Okay, now we're going to, folks, as I say, right now they're doing breakfast and lunch. So we're going to look now. Again, it's not an expansive breakfast menu, but one, if you go anywhere else, this is a good one, but it's very basic here, and that's bagels and cream cheese. Now here he's doing what they call everything bagel.
That's an everything bagel. That's a H&H New York bagel. The dough actually came from New York City. A lot of people that know New York bagels have heard of H&H.
Know the brand, exactly.
There is a vendor that provides them for me here in the city. They order them and bake them fresh every day.
And you can put a lot of the stuff on there besides the kind I was telling him. They're great with slice of tomato and some purple onions and all those ingredients he uses in some dish. So if you really want to dress it up a step more to get even more of a meal than just the bagel itself, just give him an ask, and he'll tell you what he can do with that day. So there's a great breakfast item. Now, as he mentioned, I know there's things that some of the fast foods have these wraps, but of course there's nothing better than a homemade wrap. Now, he has a particular breakfast wrap. I've forgotten what's the name. You have a Napoleon? Is that what it's called?
That's right. It's the Napoleon wrap.
Okay, this is the breakfast wrap. Now, tell us, first of all, that's a tortilla wrap. What is your casing?
It's a flour tortilla, and we offer... we will be offering wheat and flour tortillas.
That's my problem. I have to have everything with wheat, so that's what I'm glad to hear. I didn't want to press on you, but if
we're
if
trying. I mean,
Go ahead. No,
we're
but
just
I mean,
trying to keep.
That's a great option because I find the wheat much more flavorful. I'm so used to it now that I find it more flavorful than the plain tortilla.
And a lot of people that are interested.
But let's talk about the ingredients because this is what's really good. There's some little customization you can do that really make it even better. What is the basic stuffing inside?
Okay, we have a sautéed veggie mix where I use zucchinis, onions, green, red, and yellow peppers, spinach, basil.
Wow.
Mushrooms,
okay,
all sautéed in a very lightly sautéed.
Okay.
So,
and I know you got to have eggs somewhere in there.
Well, there's
going
to be eggs in there. That's just the veggie sauté.
Okay.
And we sauté the veggies, and then we'll add 2 eggs.
2? Wow.
We'll use cheddar cheese.
Oh, good.
And I did mention already, I think, fresh basil. So it's just it's a basic veggie wrap, but
there is an option if you got to have meat, which is great. A friend of mine, we had one the other day, is you can add bacon to it, right?
Fresh, and we use gourmet bacon, thickly cut.
Oh, I'm glad you're telling because I'm telling you, folks, this guy could not stop praising the bacon. So if you like bacon and eggs, in any combination, you're going to swear by this. So definitely give, really worth the extra $1, whatever it is, to get the bacon on because you're going to be really pleased. And properly cooked. It's not overcooked where it's crackles. I mean, some people like it like that, but that's me. It's so perfectly cooked, but the flavor is just fantastic. So remember, that's called the Napoleon wrap. Now, can you get it any other time, or is it just breakfast?
Breakfast is served all day at my spot.
Oh, excellent. We love to hear that because I'm a night person for breakfast, so that's great. All right, now we have another wrap that is called, you have another wrap we're not showing, which is vegan wrap.
It's a vegan voodoo wrap, we call it. And it's the same as the breakfast wrap, except instead of eggs, we use tofu.
It's very close.
And no
tofu.
Bacon since it's vegan
Excellent.
friendly.
But now here, this one is a wrap named after the wonderful area and TV program that we're so proud of, the Treme wrap.
The Treme.
And this was really fantastic. Let's talk about this one.
Okay, the Treme wrap is a type of wrap you probably won't find anywhere else. We combine Asian with Italian almost.
So it's fusion of Asian and Italian.
It's kind of a fusion thing.
Okay.
And so we'll do sautéed veggies, like I mentioned before, with the zucchinis and the mushrooms, onions, and peppers. And then we'll use chicken that's been marinated in an Asian hoisin sauce.
Oh, very good.
And a sweet chili sauce as well. Fresh ground pepper and salt. And it's very, very interesting combination because we also put feta cheese on there. Now, I know that may sound odd, Asian with feta cheese, but which is kind of a Mediterranean Asian fusion.
As I say,
so it really
more than Italian, more Mediterranean.
It's a great mix. Come
Excellent.
try it.
So that is the Treme wrap, okay, folks? And again, you can get this anytime. So we got 3 kind of wraps we talked about. But now what he's added, and this is my forte here, is he's doing paninis. And most important thing, he's doing grilled paninis, cooked paninis. A lot of the stores are doing paninis, but they don't have they want to do it without the griller or the proper griller. And that makes the idea of pressing that down and getting that heat into it and getting those grill marks on it just elevates the panini above a lot of sandwiches. So let's take a look at our first panini. I believe we're calling that, can we go ahead and get, I think the first one is the Italian panini. Let's talk about this one.
Okay, this is, first of all, I do my paninis a little bit different. I don't use panini bread. I use French baguettes.
Okay, that's very good. Very
fresh every day.
So you're fusing with the French now instead of the Italian.
Yeah, everything's about fusion.
Okay.
And so, it's a baguette bread, and then with the Italian, we caramelize onions, sautéed mushrooms, mix with some herbs and spices, and we'll use provolone cheese on that, and with a little bit of basil, and it's very simple, but it's delicious. Little olive oil brushes the bread, and we serve it hot, and it's delicious.
Excellent. And notice that each of his paninis come, we're jumping ahead now. That's right, you can leave that on. Each of his paninis come, if they're not dressed with the salad items, then you see they come on the side, as we just saw. The next one is called the caprese, another Italian name, and this one is loaded with important ingredients. Go ahead and tell us about those.
Okay, caprese is tomato, basil, and mozzarella cheese with pepper and olive oil and a balsamic dressing. So if anybody's a lot of people are probably familiar with caprese sandwiches. Sometimes they're served cold. This is a hot pressed panini caprese sandwich.
Look at it there, folks. There you can really see it closing, where you can see the grill marks, and you can see that cheese oozing out over but just framing the tomato that's underneath it. So really a great flavor. So this one is tremendous. And once again, see the nice mix of greens, again, the same spinach and things we talked about on salad. There you go, and there it is open. All right, now we've got one more panini in this one. And don't forget, folks, if you wish to call in, ask any questions about this new cafe, please do. The number's been on the screen, they'll come back up. Now here we come with the signature panini called the Beaucoup, of course, named after the place. And take a look at this, and let's dig down and tell us what's on the inside. We can see it oozing out there, the sides of that first part of the sandwich.
Well, the Beaucoup is my favorite right now. We use prosciutto, a very high quality prosciutto, bought locally here in New Orleans, and we use 3 different types of cheeses with this one right now.
Really, 3? Okay.
Well, right now, not 3 at one time. We're I'm kind of experimenting with
options.
It'll be prosciutto, roasted red peppers, arugula, salt and pepper and olive oil, and it's got a great taste to it.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about these because we got some extra time. So what are the 3 cheeses that you're opting for right now? The consumer had, patron had the right of
Swiss,
asking?
provolone, and mozzarella.
So they're getting the option to choose that?
No, I guess what I meant to say is...
You got me confused. That's why I want to make sure we don't get the audience
confused. With the Beaucoup sandwich, I have been experimenting with different types of cheeses. So depending on which one's my favorite that day, you'll probably get it on your sandwich.
Okay, so you haven't finalized which one you're going to serve yet?
On the Beaucoup sandwich.
Okay, all right. And so once again, folks, now you're not making your own bread, right? You're getting a local
don't make
purveyor.
Our own bread, but we get it locally.
And you do the French baguette. And of course, the big key there, and that's what gives that beautiful color in that grill, is that you are brushing it with some type of olive oil or infused olive oil.
It's a garlic infused olive oil that I make at the shop. So the key thing is, and I think with all of my food items, is everything is fresh and as local as can be. We don't, the cheeses are the highest quality cheeses I can find. The meats,
and those are all local.
The cheeses aren't all local,
no.
But whatever we can find. I do shop at the St. James Cheese shop.
Great. A wonderful place in Britannia, those who are familiar with it. And how about like your prosciutto products? Are they coming from out of town, or are those coming locally?
The prosciutto products are coming locally. I'm going to be purchasing prosciutto from Stein's over on Magazine Street.
Wonderful deli on Magazine. Right. Excellent. All right. Do you have any idea of any other paninis or wraps that you're thinking about creatively for the future or near future?
Well, right now, being that I started as a juice bar, I'm keeping things relatively simple. Yeah. So I'm not going to reveal any ideas for the future, but it's going to be, there will be some changes, and it's always a work in progress. Ideas come from the customers sometimes, and we take those ideas and experiment with them in the kitchen and see what we can come up with. So there'll be some things coming up, but I'm not quite sure.
Sure, no, I don't want to overextend you, because at the same time, I do the old adage, I keep it simple, and I think, especially if you do it right. Now, if you don't do it right, you got a problem. But I think you've got 3 winners there, and I think you've got a great combination by using, and unfortunately, today, it's almost at a level. I was talking to another restaurant that we did. It's almost at a level of disbelief where every restaurant now says today, that's their feature thing out of their mouth, we use local products. Everything is local. And when you start asking them about it, it's not, and nobody can admit necessarily everything is local, just like, but at the same time, they know that's the fad, they know that's the trend. Here it's a lot more credible because the nature of your business is the health, as opposed to taking a restaurant and making it healthier now by, buying locally. Not that I'm knocking it. I want that to happen. So, and I think the chefs are realizing how important it is, one, to patronize your community, to develop the relationship with your community. And yet, what could be better than using fresh? Who wants to use frozen or things that have been, sitting up for no telling how long by the time it gets to the store? I mean, there's shipping, there's all that involved. So
I think I agree with you. I think that it is a trend and it is a popular buzzword, local, shop local. But
and I'm sorry to press you on it, but I mean, I know that you're sincere about it because it's part of the roots of your mission, not just trying to make it trendy.
It really is, and it's what I believe in. It's what we believe in at my shop. Now, there's a lot of restaurants here that also use some local ingredients. There's also, you see Cisco trucks driving around the city every day, so we know that a lot of fresh restaurants aren't shopping local.
Right.
But if you see me out at the farmer's market, you'll know that I'm using all the fresh local ingredients. We're part of the Crescent City Farmers Market as well. Sometimes we do the Green Plate Special, which has featured us in the month of August. We were out there serving our
that's dishes. The key. And that's the way we start. In fact, that's say you travel to Central South America. That's where, for the most part, it still is done. People don't. Whether it's in the old days, it was because of lack of refrigeration. But it's also a tradition to use that, to go to have someone go, whoever's cooking, to go to that market every day and get what's freshest and bring it home and cook it that day, not buy for the week or buy for the month, So, we evolved the wrong way. We're going back to our roots, and that's why the original French market was not a tourist attraction. It was just the opposite. Yeah. It was a native attraction because people would go there to get their produce from the farmers because we didn't have these mega stores and all at every corner. So
that's right. And what I'm learning, and I am relatively new to this. I'm learning that I'm finding a lot of these local products cheaper than I can find them anywhere.
Well, that's the part.
It's interesting.
Well, that's very interesting because just the opposite. What I've been hearing, and of course, I don't know if for those people who really are detrimental to it, is that it's just like if you go to the deluxe or the specialized supermarket, everything is elevated. All the prices are elevated. So the normal person can't afford to do that, as a daily situation. I don't believe that. I believe it's the supply and demand. If we build back up the demand for it, now we don't have it because it's all at the grocery stores. But if we start building up as the trend and as the direction of society is going, then obviously the prices are going to fall. And there's if anyone has cooked any vegetable and compares it to, using a frozen or something compared to something that you've just gotten that day, there's a significant difference in flavor. And not if you're going to cover it with cheese, broccoli au gratin. If you're loading it with everything that's done to cover the taste, then I guess, get it wherever you want, But
nothing
if you
really want freshness, right?
But if you really want the true taste of the vegetable or the produce, you want to keep it simple and you want that freshness in it. Yeah. So we're really glad to hear it. Anything else you want to tell us about this part of the menu? Because we're going to break in a minute and listen to another song. I've got a couple more minutes, and then we're going to hear about desserts and beverage. Anything else that we maybe have missed about the breakfast and lunch portion of your menu?
Well, just that a goal for me in my restaurant and my cafe is to be affordable too. I try to provide everything to the customer at a really reasonable rate.
Yeah, that's the key, and especially in today. Even the big dogs have had to learn that lesson with the serious economy situation we're in. Unfortunately, still, even though they keep saying it's coming out. Many of the big restaurants have had to find ways to lower their prices because the normal person is going less and less out to eat. So whether they're doing a fixed price of only three courses or whether they're smaller portions or something, but they all know they have to adjust downward to attract the consumer in any kind of frequency. So if you start off at a reasonable price, and you're not going to have the problem, because now if you're going to overcharge for it, then people are going to notice it. In certain products they're going to notice, not on everything. But I think obviously your tendency in looking at the pricing and comparing it to some of the others, I was telling him about some of the other places nearby that he's doing a great job. So therefore, that affordability, and that's also because of location. Again, French Quarter has its level or whatever because of the location. Magazine now has risen in some respect to that level. Here we still have a burgeoning marketplace, a burgeoning retail place. So obviously, the prices should stay in accordance with that. Now, maybe one day, a few years from now, you'll be able to zack them up. Okay, folks, that's enough from me. It's time to hear from our musician. And as I said, he's not in the studio, but he was with us several years ago. We play him occasionally. It's John Earl, and let's take a listen to and watch and see what his second song will be, and we'll catch you on the other side.
This song is called Can I Start Over? Sorry. Okay.
Can I start over?
Yeah, it's called Can I Start Over? This song is called Gold Beneath Your Feet, and basically it's inspired by New Orleans. I used to live downtown. I used to hear the sirens going off all the time and everything, and kind of inspired me to write this song. So it's about the steps you have to take for healing. So here goes. Siren blaring, cause there's death there every night, and happiness alone won't make him fade. People say don't worry about it, just enjoy your time, but I guess I'm not built that way. You can't keep heaven in your heart, it flows from you like blood into the streets. It hurts for just a moment till you let out every ounce. Then it turns to gold beneath your feet. From each house in disrepair, this money by itself won't get a home. Are the greatest of our servants, or does anybody care? Or is my friend the carpenter alone? You can't keep heaven in your heart, it flows from you like blood unto the streets. It hurts for just a moment till you let out every ounce. Turns to gold beneath your feet. I see a million souls with memories to erase, and I can only weep with gentle eyes. Each sorrow left unfaced just magnifies the rain, and the flaming sword cuts more from paradise. You can't keep heaven in your hearts, it flows from you like blood unto the streets. It hurts for just a moment till you let out every ounce. Then it turns to gold beneath your feet. Can't keep heaven in your hearts, it flows from you like blood unto the streets. Hurts for just a moment till you let out every ounce. Then it turns to gold beneath your feet. Then it turns to gold beneath your feet. Then it turns to gold beneath your feet.
Okay, that was John Earl. Like I say, he's a powerful singer, and he'll be back for one more song to close the show. So we're glad that he allows us to replay some of his music. Well, today, as you've heard, if you've been with us, we have Dylan Williams, who opened up in the new FRERET corridor off of Napoleon. He started off as a snowball juice bar, and now has expanded it to a cafe featuring food items for breakfast and lunch. It's called Beaucoup. Couldn't get a better word here in New Orleans than Beaucoup Cafe and Juice. As he mentioned, he's closed maybe one day a week. He's going through evolution to the middle of March when he goes into his summer where he's open more days, etc. But he has curbside service, a very unusual program for a standalone restaurant. Hopefully, if you go to his website, which is Beaucoup, let's go one more time.
Beaucoup Juice.
Beaucoup Juice, one word, .com, right?
Right.
Okay, BeauCouxJuice.com, and you can see the menu, get the phone numbers or whatever, in case you want to take advantage. Well, one, just to see what he offers, food-wise, but two, if you want to take advantage of that early morning or whatever, not late in the afternoon, but afternoon hunger, and you don't want to go in and you don't have time, then he'll have it ready for you and rush it out. So it'll be a treat for you to see and for him to pull off. Anyway, we've gone over the breakfast and the lunch items. We're going to take a look at what is still a breakfast but also a dessert item and some beverages, because that's the core of his business in addition to the food. Again, the phone numbers will be on there if you want to call us in the remaining minutes. Don't hesitate to. But let's go ahead and take a look at the dessert breakfast, and it's called the acai, I don't know the pronunciation, berry bowl. Looks like cornflakes, but it's not, folks. Let's tell them what the acai berry is, first of all.
Well, underneath that granola,
right, you really can't see it that well because
a puree, purple-colored puree of what's called the acai berry. And this comes from Brazil. The only place that we know of that it grows in the world is on the outskirts of the Amazon jungle in Brazil. It's a word that a lot of people look at and pronounce acai. So it's A-C-A-I.
Correct.
And it's now known as a superfood. It's an extremely healthy berry. It gives you energy. It kind of suppresses the hunger. It's a very powerful antioxidant. A lot of really great things about the berry. It's been compared to the blueberry, but it's 7 times more powerful in antioxidants than the blueberry. So it also tastes really good. In Brazil, it's a very, very popular dish, the acai bowl. It's the frozen acai puree.
Right.
Kind of has the consistency of a thick smoothie.
Right.
And then with granola and sliced up bananas on top with honey trickled over the top. It's
really
delicious.
Cool.
It's a meal. It's very filling, but it gives you energy. So where a lot of foods will kind of weigh you down during the day, this particular dish will fill your stomach and give you energy.
It really does, and not only that, again, as you mentioned, which we'll see later on because we're going to see a smoothie with one. You'll see the magnificent color, but the idea of it being a frozen, like a slush or a smoothie, is a great flavor as opposed to being just Luke coal or liquid coal. So the almost frozen like a snowball, almost at like a freezy or a slushy, really brings out the flavor and magnifies it with all the crunch on top. So like I said, you could use this as a breakfast or a dessert item because it's very sweet flavored, healthy for you, good tasting. The only problem is it's very filling. So the size of the bowl, if you're having a sandwich or something like that, you may or may not be able to eat something like this entirely. So this would be good for a replacement meal or a breakfast meal.
Yeah, it's definitely its own standalone meal. If you were in Brazil, if you were in, let's say, Rio de Janeiro, you would see all over the city they have, every corner there's a place you can get an acai bowl. Everybody, they live off of the stuff down there. It's really good. Okay.
Now, the next thing, as we've talked about, is the juices. We said that is one of the cores. So we're going to be looking at a juice, and then he's going to tell us about all the different types. Now, the important thing, these are freshly squeezed and prepared so it's not just powder mix like many of the commercial juices or smoothie places. This, I believe, was an orange pineapple I tasted the other day. It was really delicious. What other combination? And again, you can buy it separately, fresh squeezed orange juice and the pineapple, all great combinations. Let's talk about some of the individual ones you have, and then, of course, it's your choice how you want to mix and match.
Well, we have a lot of different types of fruit, and we can juice them all. Also, veggie juices, which are extremely healthy and gaining popularity down here in the South.
Well, let's talk about the really probably ones that are maybe not as healthy as the ones that are still meeting with some resistance. So things like the orange, the pineapple. I know you have a few of those that are right up front that most people recognize and will accept as a juice.
So we'll do fresh squeeze, especially now that it's citrus season. We'll do Louisiana oranges, fresh squeezed Louisiana orange juice. We have passion fruit juice, mango juice.
Wow.
We have fruit called guanabana juice. We have pineapple, and we also will allow the customer to look at what we have and mix the juices together and build your own juice. So, and what I also mentioned is the veggie juices. We'll do veggie juices mixed with fruit juices. So it's a full juice bar. If you were to be, they're very popular on the West Coast. I don't know if y'all have ever been out west and seen a full-on juice bar. That's what we've got running in my shop.
Right.
So the tropical, I should say the exotic juices would be like the mangoes, the papayas, things that come from South and Central America. So we'll take those and mix them with whatever we can find locally.
What about one of my favorites? And again, it's not. I don't know whether you consider it juice or not, but I love it at juice bars. Is a watermelon limeade.
Watermelon limeade is definitely a juice.
Can you do that?
I can do it.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I'm hooked on that.
If you come in and you
for
order
about 5 years now, if anybody has it, a lot of people think the strawberry lemonade or something that's too sweet. Watermelon limeade to me is the most refreshing drinks. Now I got to watch the sugar level, so it depends on what they're putting in it.
Well, something I also wanted to mention is that for those people that may be diabetic or maybe they need to watch the sugar levels, we also use agave nectar and honey, and sometimes we can do fruit juices. I mean, for anything fresh squeezed, usually no sugar added.
No need to add the sugar.
If we do, when it comes to what we may talk about at some point is the snowballs, we do add a little bit of sugar or agave nectar, but our juices are healthy. We don't add a lot of sugar. We most times don't add any sugar. So when you mention watermelon, we have a fantastic watermelon season down here in Louisiana.
Yes, we do.
So when that starts happening, we'll be doing a lot with watermelon.
Excellent. Well, since you segued, even though we still have one more drink to show you, since you segued into the snowballs, and the snowballs are mainly from the juice area, let's talk about those. And those aren't a year-round. Obviously, most people are geared toward the spring through the late summer to getting a snowball. So that's correct in your area as well. You're doing it during that period, or you do it any time? Somebody went in the colder winter, would you do a snowball?
Our snowballs run from the end of March all the way through the beginning of November. So we have a long snowball season.
Long period.
Snowballs are a tradition down here in New Orleans and Louisiana. So it's a very important part of my business. And you
serve them in the traditional inverted conical cup, or how do you serve
Pretty much. We take a cone, we fill up the cup with shaved ice with a Snow Wizard machine manufactured right here in New Orleans.
Right.
And we fill it up with shaved ice. The difference is something that I'm doing at my shop that I haven't seen anywhere else is we are using real juice for our snowballs.
Right.
No high fructose corn syrup. We have a healthy snowball for your kids to enjoy and not get too sugared up and too hyperactive. It's a healthy snowball.
So give us some samples of the flavors that you would offer to the snowball interest.
If you were to come step into my shop in the summertime, you would see watermelon, Ponchatoula strawberry. We would be using Alabama peaches, which is what we can find locally. We go out. I've got a Smith Creamery chocolate milk snowball, which is local chocolate milk poured on shaved ice.
I wouldn't have expected that.
With chocolate syrup on top. We've got all the exotic flavors mango, pineapple, papaya.
So you're almost as varied as the typical snowball stand, even though that's heavy-duty sugar. All right?
Yeah, we don't have wedding cake, but we do have watermelon lemonade.
Right.
So we try to keep it as healthy as we can, but they're delicious, and it's something. Again, I mentioned earlier we were at a lot of festival and vending events. We do private events, weddings, and parties with our snowballs.
That'd be great. When you get to hankering uptown, because we don't really have that many snowball places. I can't even name one. There's a perfect thing for the summer. So try to take your kids out and get one evening or one afternoon. All right, we want to see one more picture before we close, and that is the smoothie. And as we mentioned, this has the acai berry. And I don't know if you can notice the light is different, but it's a beautiful purple shade. I think we had two pictures, but I don't know if we have both of them up there or not. But tell us again about your smoothies, and particularly this one.
Well, that particular smoothie is the Bayou Berry, and it is one of our acai smoothie blends. We use Ponchatoula peaches when they're available. We use strawberries, pineapples, oranges. We use a little bit of soy milk and the acai berry, and we use local honey. Local bee honey. So it's a great combination. It's our most popular smoothie, and I think it may be the best smoothie I've ever tasted.
So once again, it's healthy. And are you using tofu? There is it?
Tofu, no.
No, you use soy milk.
Soy milk, yeah. Okay. No tofu in the
soy
smoothie.
Milk and natural honey.
And I'll use, if the customer, it's your choice whether you like soy milk or whole milk. I tend to use.
Oh, okay. So you will, for some of the people who just won't go that way. But I love the flavor of it. I know. I'm assuming that I had soy, but I don't know. The one I tasted was this one.
One of the things I like to offer is just for the customer to kind of build their own smoothie. Same with the juices. I like to be able to communicate with my customers and give them what they want. I do have a set menu and prices, but I also have allow them the opportunity to take what fruit they want and put it in a smoothie.
Okay, well, folks, this flew by. I thought we didn't have a big menu, so I thought we might have longer time to talk. But we've come to the end of the show. Want to thank Dylan Williams for bringing insight into Beaucoup Cafe and Juice. We're going to go ahead and look for you in the restaurants. We've got some great ones coming up. And let's hear the last closing song by John Earl, okay?
And this song is called Desert Sand. It was inspired by the story I heard about a woman crossing the Arizona desert to find her husband here in America from Mexico. And it's basically about how you deal with doubt. So here it goes. With the words of a kiss in the eyes of a lonely family man. He cried for the ones he really missed, but he died when for them he couldn't stand. And he prayed to the Lord who seemed not to hear. The doubts he longed to rest attacked his life. And after all was said and done, the only thing he feared were the warm and loving eyes of his wife. And he's walking on the desert sand tonight, so cold but no one sees him when he runs. We all walk on the desert sand sometimes, but only those alive still feel the sun. Started with the words of a letter, the only man that wasn't coming home. She cried cause her heart just wouldn't let her die young from the only love she'd known. She prayed to the Lord who seemed not to hear. Doubts she never had were a waste of time. And after all was said and done, the only thing behind her tears were the warm and loving eyes of a wife. She's walking on the desert sand tonight, so cold but no one sees her when she runs. And we all walk on the desert sand sometimes, but only those alive still feel the sun. No one knows how the journey's gonna end.